It's the Friendly Fire Show, episode 245 for August 2023. I am Steve Wright, one of your co-hosts. Joining me, as always, Ben Salter. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Steve. I'm just admiring the cat behind you. Just chilling, just relaxing.
If you're watching the video, the cat bed is there. The cat bed has ended up on the floor for some reason. She is unhappy with it. So, sorry. I will try to let it not be distracting, but it will guaranteed be distracting. Banter? Do we have banter?
We're off to a great
start.
We're out of banter. I've been real busy. I managed to get a mattress up our stairs, which is getting a mattress upstairs is insane.
Getting a mattress up your stairs is impossible, I thought.
Yeah. Well, the one that we've got in our bed, we had to go vertically up. And like in a way that I took 10 years off my back's life doing that. There was no other way to do it. Lift with your back was the only option. But yeah, we've got a new guest mattress bed because the one we had was no good. And so, it's good now. The way they do it is really smart. And I wish I did this for the other mattress. You can get them like vacuum sealed. So they're like real compressed. And then you open the seal and it like pops into shape. And after 3 days, it's a normal proper mattress again. Huh? So like, that's how you get upstairs.
Is it like a koala then?
Yeah, it's like one of those type of things. Yeah.
Well, so I thought your mattress was fine. I've slept on that bed. Thank you very much. And your fiance
sent one now.
Well, she sent a text being like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I've slept on this and it almost broke me."
That's why we got a new mattress, because she slept on it and was unhappy with the quality. So we have a new one now.
Well, I thought it was fine. So, but also we bought a koala for our bed and I made Matt return it because it was not doing the trick for my back when I had the big back problems ages ago. But maybe they've advanced since then. I've already judged your new mattress. I haven't even looked at it. That's not a good sign. I promise I won't be that mean. I have banter actually. I just thought of it.
What have you got?
Matt went to the supermarket and we were running low on detergent, so needed it for the.
This is good. This is good stuff. Yep.
Well, you needed it for the dishwasher, so we grabbed like the little bag of like the like pod things.
Mm-hmm.
Take it home, puts it under the sink. I do a couple loads of washing. Grab the new detergent pods and go, oh, this is a bit bigger than normal. Whatever. Throw it in. Did like 4 loads of washing. The kitchen started to smell like funny, but like you couldn't put your finger on what it was. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. It was kind of just made a note of it and then didn't worry about it. And then like Monday morning, I was drinking my coffee and I'm like, something smells weird. Like, did I not wash like the mousse off my hands for doing my hair or something? Like something's just not quite right. It turns out, long story short, that Matt was buying like clothes washing detergent pods and he didn't realize and put it under the sink. So that was, his fault. But then my fault was I was noting that they didn't seem quite right, but was still doing the dishes with them. So we were washing like most of our dishes in clothes detergent, which I don't think is bad, but everything smelled like, now that we know, like laundry, like what's the like clothes softener? That's not the word I want.
Yeah,
laundry softener.
Laundry smell. Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah,
guess it's all detergent. Well, that's a struggle.
We didn't die.
I'll give you a tip. The Audi ones are way better than the real brand.
The Finnish
dishwasher tablets. Also, like a tenth of the cost.
Well, there you go. I just want to buy the right detergent. That's where I'm going to start first, and then I'll worry about cost next. It smelled. Like, clothes smell good with that smell, but the kitchen and your plates don't. Trust me on this. But, that's the most important. Let's get to actual video games.
Yeah,
perhaps.
Well, I can see why you have no time to play Baldur's Gate 3 because you're too busy putting the wrong dishwashing detergent in, laundry detergent in a dishwasher. But this is like the most played game ever.
Yeah.
Maybe a slight exaggeration, but it's killing it on Steam. So it's out now on PC. It's coming to PlayStation, I think, next month and Xbox early next year, which is kind of surprising. Like I didn't really think it would have a console launch so soon. It's like a hardcore RPG. I'm going to assume. Well, I certainly haven't played it. I don't know if you've played it.
I haven't. I bought it on PS5 because I knew it seems like it's going to be Matt's jam, and he can't play PC games because 1, he has a Mac, and 2, I'm too busy on this computer for him to use it properly. So I've already got him the PS5 version, knowing he'll like it, or I think you'll like it when it comes out. I think it's the 6th of September, but
Yeah.
it's sometime around then.
Yeah, so it's killing it. It's kind of weird that such a relatively hardcore RPG by that standard is doing so well, and it's still only on PC. Like, it would probably go gangbusters on console.
Yeah.
I bet you they're wishing they got the Xbox release on parity with PS now, because it's a little bit disappointing that's a bit later. But yeah, the options are there to play. It's doing really well.
Did you know why it's not coming out on Xbox? Have you heard?
No, well, it is eventually. Why?
They're blaming the Series S. It's like it's too low power to cope with what they wanted to get out of it. Or that is, and like that's kind of a half truth, but I guess the other half is they didn't want to dedicate the resources needed to fix the issues that the S presented. There you go. So that's, so I'm not misrepresenting.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Microsoft may need to beef up its team so it can give developers staff to deal with the Series S.
Yeah.
I'm sure more devs will jump on if they're like, we made the Series X version. Here you go, Microsoft. Make it run on Series S. That's your problem.
I saw a completely unsubstantiated rumor, but someone was like, oh, Microsoft's going to just drop the S and sell like a disk driveless X. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Yeah, I doubt it.
They might sell a disk driveless X if the digital PS5 is doing well. Maybe they'd say, well, we kind of need something like the S is not competing with that at all. So maybe they would say, let's sell our X at a lower cost and do that. But
it'd be like $50
later in the
less,
generation.
and that's not it's not going to cover that price gap that they made the S for in the first place. I think that's malarkey.
I think in Australia it'd be $150 less. It'd match the digital price of the PS5. So
yeah,
still expensive, $600. But then it makes the S pointless because that's $500 or $550 or something with the 1 terabyte. So yeah,
Yeah, well, and the reason that, sorry to go back to, I'm just all jumping all over the place. The reason I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, I was tempted to get it on PC, but I've been busy reviewing 2 games that you haven't played, so I'm not going to talk about too much. But the first was Stray Gods, a role-playing musical, which is Australian-made, Summerfall Studios, in conjunction, well, I guess he's part of the team, but it's David Gator from Dragon Age fame. He's the writer, which it's not. I wish I liked it more. Is the easiest way to describe it. It's cool. Like it's if you're familiar with like any TV show that's a musical, it's basically that. So it's mostly musical bits and some talking narrative bits to get you from song to song. A lot like Buffy Once More with Feeling. I don't know if you've even seen that, Ben. You're not really a Buffy fan,
not
are
at
you?
all.
You're insane, because that was great. Also, Star Trek Strange New Worlds did a musical episode like literally last week. And that's kind of to Stray God's detriment, because the easiest way that I described it is most of the songs are like the bad songs in Buffy, in that they're okay, they're kind of sing-talky, and they're just trying to get some like exposition through. But like the Buffy songs that were bad were sung by the actors who couldn't really sing, so they were kind of airy and like emotionless with a lot of auto-tune. All the people who've ever been in a video game are in Stray Gods. You've got Ashley Johnson, Troy Baker. It's like a who's who, Laura Bailey. Like it's like The Last of Us the musical. Plus, tons of people. Mostly actors, not singers, and for very good reason. They had Anthony Rapp, who was in the original cast of Rent. He's in Star Trek Discovery. If you saw him, you'd be like, oh, that guy. Like, he's a singer. He's a musical theater person, and he can act and sing. And it's very clear that he can act and sing compared to the rest of the people who can act and sort of sing. It's very so-so. So if you like all the names, if you're kind of cool with like the mythical nature, the mythos of gods like Apollo, Hermes, etc., you'll probably find enough to like about it. But like it's a very first attempt at something, I think. Trying to be nice.
Sounds like all the things that I do not care for. So
cool. You might like Atlas Fallen then. It's by Deck 13, who, they did The Surge 2, like a lot of kind of Souls-like games, but this is like an action RPG trying to be more like a Tomb Raider or a God of War. And it reminds me a lot of like the first Assassin's Creed, where you could see some really cool ideas and like the makings of something really good, but like wait to the sequel kind of thing. You're a player who finds like a gauntlet that gives you powers, and it's tied to this god who's been forgotten. So you're kind of like reawakening this god who's a nice god, and you have to fight a bad god. It's set on like a sand planet basically, so like if you're thinking like Tatooine, you're not too far off. And all the powers that you have through the gauntlet are kind of like sand based. So you can like sand surf to get from one place to the other faster, and you start chaining that with like jumps and air dashes and all that kind of stuff. So it's like that kind of stuff is fun. The exploration is sort of fun until it gets very Ubisoft 50 million icons on the map kind of style. The combat could be good, but it's like it's just it's almost there, but not quite. There's a lot of like enemies off screen that hit you when you're not able to see them, and it just kind of feels cheap. When I was reviewing, the balance of a lot of the enemies was off, like to the point where they admitted that in the patch notes, and like assuming it's going to get fixed, but I can't guarantee. So I just put the combat to easy, and then it was a lot more enjoyable. But it just started feeling a lot like the same old, same old. And then, like you get through the quest lines, and then you get kind of like weird invisible padding, like, oh, we'll go find these pieces to upgrade your thing, but we're not going to put them on the map. You just kind of have to stumble upon them. So go and do like 17 side quests until you happen to stumble upon the side quest that has the actual component that is. So it's like it's good. It's a solid 7, I think, is the easiest way to describe it. But also like you could invest a lot of hours and time if you so choose. Well, maybe like 20 hours, but I'm not really giving a lot of glowing recommendations today.
Sounds like another skip, especially with so many big games coming out. A lot in my backlog. I still haven't hit Star Wars yet, so yeah, I can't see myself finding time for that. I've dropped off Final Fantasy 16 at 50% the way through. Like, I'm cutting games now, Steve. If it's not grabbing me, I'm happy to put things down before the end, which is not how I used to operate, but that's what I've moved to.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't like something, you don't have to play it. If you do like something, you don't have to play it again. And that's a segue, I think, into our first big news item of the week.
Yeah. Certainly not for top dollar.
If you haven't played Red Dead Redemption yet, well, I have an alternative for you. But you do have the option of playing on PS4 or Nintendo Switch come sometime this month, or in physical form sometime the month after that, I think. You have some hot opinions already. You've already mentioned the price, so I'm just going to step back and let you have at it.
Well, that's the thing. This is a straight port, so it's not a remaster at all. It's $70 on Switch or $80 on PS4, which will run on PS5, of course, but not natively. We don't know the specs on Switch. I'm going to assume it will run relatively well, but it may not actually be 1080p. It is 4K up-res on PS4 at 30 frames a second, which you can also get and have been able to do for many years on Xbox, because the 360 back compat version is automatically up-res, so it's been 4K for like 5 years.
Yep.
Also 30 frames still. You can normally pick that version up even on like digital sales for like $10 to $20, and you can get a disc version which will work as well, probably from like your nearest secondhand goods store for like $5. So I mean, that's the thing. It's the same as that 360 up-res version for $80, and it's kind of outrageous. I'm not that disappointed that they haven't remastered it. I'm more disappointed that they're charging like a remastered price.
Yeah.
Like a proper remastered Metroid Prime was $60, and this is more than put into it. Yeah, it's very Rockstar is just money hungry and grabbing at it. Or do you think they might just be a bit scared about what happened for the GTA Definitive Trilogy, where they tried to remaster it, or they tried to get an external studio to remaster it, didn't go well? Had they just said, this game's actually pretty good condition, like the Xbox back compat version runs well, let's just do that and sell it at full price.
Well, yeah, like the Xbox back compat does well because it has all these boosts and things that you can apply with like little effort. And I guess you can't. Can you do that on the PS4 to PS5? I can't remember. I don't think so.
Well, it's basically that is what's happened here.
Oh, there's
so the PS4 version. Actually, the PS4 version is 1080p, of course. The PS4 Pro version and then on PS5 is 4K. So it's like boosted up again. Yeah.
Well, okay. It's too much money. I think the one thing that you didn't mention, which like doesn't really change the argument, is that if you go to like a secondhand store and get a disc for $5 on Xbox, you don't get Undead Nightmare, which is a very, very good piece of DLC that's part of this package. But again, like bundling that DLC and this game that are literally a PS3, Xbox 360 game, like that's full price, or $80 is not. That's full price. That's a full price enough. It's too much money for what it is.
It's insane. And they obviously got leaked slightly beforehand, or at least that Red Dead was coming back did. So people just assumed it's going to be a remaster. And it seems like such an obvious one, like remastering Red Dead 1 and GTA 4 it's right there for easy money and to restore those games somewhat. They both run really well through back compat. Like you had them on Xbox, and it seems like Rockstar's just gone with well, they're already on Xbox. Maybe they have some data that people actually played them, and it wouldn't surprise me if those two specifically are some of the more played back compat games on Series X.
Yeah.
And they've thought, well, Switch players and PS4 players and PS5 players, the bigger consoles, don't have access to these games. Let's just release them as is. I get that remastering might be tough because they're on like ancient engines, which are just hard to work with now.
Yep.
But it just seems like the easy cash grab way. A lot of people complaining that it's not 60 frames. I think that's to do with the fact that it's within the old engine, like it's not in something that's made for that. So otherwise, the Xbox version would have bumped up automatically as well, like some other games did. So yeah, it seems like I'm glad they're bringing this game to a modern audience. I'm sure it'll be kind of cool to play it on a handheld on Switch, but it's just way too much money. They should have been like $10 to $20.
I really liked Red Dead, and then it felt like it was getting too long, and I kind of just stopped playing. You know, when like you just the game is too long, and you just kind of like get sick of it, so you just stop.
Final Fantasy 16, yeah.
Well, I did that, and then Undead Nightmare came out however long afterwards, and that got me like I was sucked into that, and then that made me want to go back and finish. And then I played Red Dead 2, and I probably got like 2 hours in. It's just like
Red Dead 2 is so good. It's I don't know if it's better. I would say it's better.
I like Western games, like Westerns, and I don't really like fantasy, so like it takes me a lot. Well, and then like I'm not a huge like once you get into things like Grand Theft Auto, like I get into it, but like there's not a rock like Bully was the only Rockstar game that I'm like I immediately connect with this. I think this is great. Everything else is kind of a slog. But like where am I going with this? Do you think that is this just to get all the Red Deads on PS4 in case you'd already played the second one and you want to play the first, or is it just so there's like
maybe
package, or what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's bringing it like quite a popular game because Red Dead 2 sold crazy too to modern platforms. Like it was only available on Xbox. I'm pretty sure Red Dead Redemption 1's never been released on PC. Not a fact-based show.
I think it has.
I don't know. Maybe it has been.
I can't remember now. I'm gonna have to check.
Yeah. Switch has sold like crazy. The PS4 has such a big install base. PS5 is gonna have a massive install base soon. So I think it's just bringing it to those platforms. As I said, I wouldn't necessarily mind that it hasn't been remastered. It just had the resolution boost. If it was reasonably priced, if it was, let's say, reasonable price is $29.95 in Australia, $19.95 or $99 in America, I think that'd be pretty reasonable for an ancient game. That's about what it costs. Actually, less than that on Xbox. So. Yeah, I just don't see why they've gone for $80 on PlayStation. It seems insane.
Yeah, well, and like you've already played it. I have no hankering to replay it, even, you know, though I would recommend it to most people because it's a fantastic game. That doesn't mean it's worth replaying. I think you had something when you were talking about how, like, the GTA remasters that looked like it was 3, right? That really was the worst one. San Andreas.
They were equal basically. Yeah. GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. Yeah.
Well, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. AI. I guess. So I think it's smarter. It's smarter not to try to mess with something that's beloved. I guess. So this is probably the best idea, like the best decision in terms of the quality of the release, but like you always come back to the price with this, don't you? It's
always the price. I think this would have been much easier to remaster than those games where it's much more modern. The fact that they can just resolution boost it to 4K and it looks pretty good. Like the Xbox version looks pretty good, so it wouldn't be drastically different to essentially just improve some textures. Like it wouldn't be a huge difference. Maybe update some controls. Like it wouldn't be a massive remaster. It'd probably be more of a smaller tweaked one. More like your Last of Us PS3 to PS4 level remaster.
Yep.
Some updated lighting, that type of stuff. Not the GTA trilogy level where they've gone from PS2 to current gen consoles with a big step, and they didn't use the PS2 or the Xbox source code. They used the mobile version to begin with, and that was the start of their problems. Like they used the worst version to begin with, then they tried to use AI to upscale some stuff. In the end, like a year later, they fixed a bunch of the glitches, but it was just like they're okay now. Those games are playable, but they launched in such a dodgy state, like Bethesda-esque.
Well, and they replaced the originals. Like they're just so bad decision after bad decision. It was just like train wreck.
Yeah, and so I think that might have scared them off a bit. I think they may have thought that actually tarnished the reputation somewhat of those games. And if they'd released the version of those which they are now, the kind of patched, less buggy version, I think it would have still got a bit of a disappointing reception. But it might have, like, we gave it a 4 or something like that, which was very deserved at the time because it was buggy as hell, like
Yep.
unplayable. Now it's probably more like your 7.5. Like, this is the best way to play these games, but they haven't been given the full remaster they deserve. But it's like they're certainly playable, way more playable than the originals now. It was just rushed through. And so, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they think if they try to, and maybe it's to do with the frame rate and moving engine and things, would introduce more issues, and they kind of feel like that's not worth the time. But yeah, it just comes back to what you said before. It's all about cost. If you're going to give us the upscaled port, that's okay for a game that is this good and still holds up this well, but price that accordingly.
Do you know what they could do? Just make a completely new game and just call it Red Dead
No,
Redemption.
they cannot make a new game. They've released like one game in the past 10 years. Rockstar don't do new games, and that was Red Dead Redemption 2.
Well, that's what Activision Blizzard is doing.
Oh, yeah,
How
that's
was
true.
that for a segue that
Oh,
I
I didn't
called
even
out?
see
So
it.
then I
Didn't
negated
even
it.
see it.
Kaboom!
Yes.
I was trying to get to the hot new old thing question
Yeah.
mark Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, which you've summarized as weird, and I concur.
It's weird.
So let's take us through it, Ben.
Everything about this is weird. We're getting Modern Warfare 3 2023 edition, not to be confused with the 20, I don't know, 13 or whenever the last one came out. It's only 1 year after Modern Warfare 2, which is really weird because Modern Warfare 1, the reboot, came out like in 2019, and there was a 3 year gap, which is the standard gap for CODs. They normally cycle through 3 developers, but they've just gone direct sequel the next year. And that means Infinity Ward, the Modern Warfare developer, can't have made this game, and they haven't
They're
because they've still been
helping.
working on Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
It's, the lead developer, Sledgehammer, who was meant to have last year's COD, but then Infinity Ward stepped in with Modern Warfare 2 early because Sledgehammer weren't ready with their game and they shelved it. Yes, but everyone will be helping them, but they're leading it.
Yeah.
Also suggests that they haven't been working on it long.
Well, that
we know
suggests that their other game was absolutely garbage because it's not only been
does.
shelved but replaced with 3 or Modern
So
Warfare.
that's-
You know what I mean?
That's weird. The fact that it's been announced in August and not in like May when it normally is makes it seem like this is very kind of rushed. It wasn't on the normal schedule, and everything we've said to this point has also suggested that. So that's very weird for Call of Duty. And then there's the fact that it was originally rumored as an expansion for Modern Warfare 2. There were a bunch of rumors that this was going to be the first year in ages that we weren't going to get a new COD. We're just going to get a kind of a single player and a bunch of new multiplayer stuff as an expansion for Modern Warfare 2, which Sledgehammer was helping with, which does make a lot of sense. And then at some point, Activision went back to being Activision and thought, you know what, we can charge top dollar for this. Let's call it 3. So I think this is the most alarming COD announcement in the last 20 years because of all these things suggest, and it could be wrong. They could bring it all together and it could be a great game. The 2 Modern Warfare games have been pretty good.
Yeah.
But it does seem a little bit like they've changed plans so many times and pivoted so much. And in the end, they've decided, let's charge full price. It's always back to price, back again.
Yeah.
And call it a new game. Is it actually going to be that? Don't know. But very weird all around.
Well, in today's news of, what do they call it? Carry forward. So now anything that you earn in Modern Warfare 2, any cosmetic or operator, and there's some asterisks there. It's not every single thing. Like if there's not like an equivalent vehicle, let's say, in Modern Warfare 3. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anything that you earn technically, asterisk, in Modern Warfare 2 or Call of Duty Warzone 2.0 carries forward into Modern Warfare 3, which I didn't factor in all the stuff that you just said, but I was just kind of thinking like, oh, okay, Activision's really just, like the game, the new game is less of a concern, and it's more like just get into this little like ecosystem of multiplayer and carry your progress forward, like to the point where it's like, oh, your stuff from Modern Warfare 3 doesn't go back into Modern Warfare 2, but your stuff from Modern Warfare 3 goes back into Call of Duty Warzone 2.0 Season 1.
Ooh,
that comes out with, or it's not Season 1, it's like Season whatever, that comes out with Modern Warfare 3 Season 1. It's like, oh, there's too many numbers happening here, seasons.
Yep. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how it fares because COD always smashes records and it does really well. But I think this one is just fraught with a lot more unknowns, and fans are a bit put off by it. And then there's the fact that we normally get 3 year gaps between sequels within the franchise. So normally you play a Modern Warfare game and you're not playing it again for 3 years. You get something quite different in between.
Yeah, here's the
That
super
hasn't happened this
futuristic
time.
one, or here's the World War II one, or here's the
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly,
just
exactly.
something
And
different.
so, and people always have their favorite, and you get different developer as well. And so, like Infinity Ward and Treyarch games play different enough if you're a big COD fan and you realize what the intricacies are, and your casual fan probably doesn't notice that. Um, but yeah, so I think people are going to be a little put off by, and certainly I, as a COD player, play for a few months after it comes out, and then I kind of shelve it. I used to play a lot more, but I kind of hit the point of, all right, I'm done now. Don't really play at all for like 6 to 9 months, and then the new one comes out, and I play it for a bunch when it comes out, and then same thing happens, repeat.
Yeah,
I feel like this might feel very samey. It might kind of feel like a bunch of new maps, but I'm at the point with Modern Warfare 2 where they release new modes, new maps that I don't care anymore. I'm kind of like I've had it, and that's just how I play these things. Like I'm
yeah,
not really a play something and jump in and live service type of player where I'm just playing something for years. Really just a few months at most, and then I move on. So
yeah.
maybe being a new game will get me back into it. Probably will for a little bit, but it just I don't think it's going to have that pull that a normal COD does. Of it's different to last year's, and that's the whole point of it being an annual franchise, right?
I think the thing that's been missing for a good long while, like it's like this is made by Infinity Ward normally, but like that's not even true anymore. It's made by Infinity Ward, in name
Yeah,
only. Like the
that's
original Modern Warfares were Infinity Ward when that meant something.
mm,
And I like all of the Call of Duty devs, all the studios are now kind of like an Ubisoft studio. Like you just
yeah,
whack a location name at the end of it, and they all just it's like the cookie cutter like copies of each other. Like they don't need a specific studio to make a specific Call of Duty game. Like all of the studios can just make a Call of Duty game, and it kind of seems like they're running out of Call of Duty ideas. So it's like Sledgehammer's not known for their action-packed whatever, and Treyarch. Well, I guess Treyarch's probably more like zombies still, but that's only
yeah,
because they give that to Treyarch now. It's not because like maybe they've necessarily earned it. And Infinity Ward was the modern warfare studio, but like half the people that you'd maybe give the credit for that aren't there. It's a name. Like Rare is a name now, and like it's not really the Rare that you're expecting it or thinking of, that kind of thing, which is
yeah.
kind of
True.
sad. And maybe they just need to maybe they need to Assassin's Creed this and say no regular cadence for like what one time, and then they're basically back to the same cadence again. But
I think they do, and it felt like that was going to be this year. Maybe because the Xbox merger's kind of been pushed out, and seems now. I mean, we never know because it seems to change all the time, but it seems like that's quite likely to go through. So maybe starting with next year's game or the one after, whenever Xbox is in charge, maybe that's when they put the pause on it. But that said, they'd probably like the first year that they own Activision to be ready with a new game. So maybe they'd like the pause the year before, which kind of is why I thought this year would be that. So
well,
yeah,
maybe that's Sledgehammer's game that got shelved. That's definitely going to be good.
yeah,
Like, there's enough goodwill, and it's kind of already happened, I guess. There's all this stuff about all the old Xbox back compat games, like suddenly getting a resurgence in their multiplayer systems and matchmaking, I guess. You probably know more about it than I do. Like, that is kind of a cool thing that you can lead with now that, like, they're all on Game Pass and they're all back. Like, pick your poison. They're all here. But, like, that would be cool, but also that's kind of Xbox's problem in the last however many years. Like, we don't have anything new, so
some
here's
old
some
stuff.
old things. Yeah, like that's not
Yeah.
necessarily a great foot to lead on.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're also in the weird situation where we're getting Modern Warfare 3. We got Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 remastered. We never got Modern Warfare 3 remastered, the campaign. Presumably that just never happens now. Like it'd be too weird to release that now. And that's a shame. So yeah,
Was
they've
three
kind of
good? Two is the good one, right?
well, yeah. I mean, 3 was not as good, but I still feel like it feels incomplete to have remastered 2 of the games, and all they needed to do was the campaigns. It's odd that they didn't. Maybe because of COVID, they didn't at the time, but yeah, that was an odd one to skip. And it's just, yeah, it kind of feels like they've rung the money pit dry here, and they left that one on the shelf. So that's what they think of it. And yeah, it's an odd time to be a Call of Duty fan.
Yeah. Well, there you go. What a solid ending. Yep. There you
Oh
go.
yeah, that is
Just
basically the ending. We'll be back next
defeat.
week with some more exciting thing, Steve. I don't think there's any point saying where we are on the internet because I think X, is it called X now?
I don't
That's
care. I try to
that's
be on the
done.
internet less, to be honest. But when you
Okay.
go on the internet, make sure you stop by Stevivor and check us out, or at least subscribe to the podcast, and we'll talk this way. That's fine.
That's it. That's our new ending. You'll find us on Stevivor or the Friendly Fire Show podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.